And we're rolling. Awesome. So, what supplements are you taking now?
The only supplement, what am I taking? No real well, I guess that is a supplement. CMOS. You know what CMOS is? It's like an algae.
Yeah. There was this one company maybe 15 years ago. I used to take someone came into a pizzeria that I used to go to, and this guy was like a martial arts expert. It was E3 Live, the blue green algae or whatever it was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Is this like that? Is it similar to that?
Honestly, I know what you're talking about. I don't know much about what that is, so I can't say if it's the same thing or not. But I guess it's from the same family of things, you know. But basically, CMOS is really good for like blood flow and different things like that. And all of the guys in the Caribbean say that it keeps them strong and healthy. So I take CMOS. I have just usually after a training, I'll have a shake with some CMOS, some maca powder, the berries, some clove, cinnamon.
Why?
Yeah,
So why? How does it keep them strong and healthy? What was the CMOS? Yeah, what was the mechanism behind that?
CMOS is really good for blood flow.
It's a vasodilator.
Yeah. So it just keeps you. Some people say similar to like arginine like effects. So, but there's other claims. I mean, man, if you start looking online, people start saying that this stuff heals them of all sorts. How much of that's true, you'd never know, do you? You know what I mean? So, but it's for sure good. I mean, I enjoy it, so that's about it. Why? What about you? I mean, has yours changed since you've been studying like herbs and different stuff or what?
Well, actually, I haven't gone into the herbal program that much yet.
Okay.
But I'm always taking some fucking weird concoction, seeing what's working and what isn't. I was taking the mushrooms, the different types of mushrooms from this company in Canada, but while I was taking it, I was taking reishi, I was taking cordyceps, I was taking lion's mane, and one other I completely forgot. Oh, was that Luna?
Yeah. Apollo, come here. Venga.
Let's see.
Where you at, boy?
Oh,
handsome boy, huh?
Well, good looking pup.
Yeah. You see him?
Great looking pup.
Yeah, he's had a blast the last couple of days, man. Bush camping with him. Bro, he ran this hill, no lie, over 100 times. Constantly. And what's so amazing is his nose. Like, I mean, his birthday is next week. He's going to be 1. And he's got still a good few kilos to gain. And you would think that also, like, in other facets, it takes him a while to mature. But his nose is incredible. And if he gets even better, I'm going to be amazed at this. In the dark, in the woods, you launch a stick, he'll come back with exactly the same stick amongst them all. And he won't come back until he's found it. And we were just playing with him non-stop. So, yeah, he likes to do search and rescue too. You get him to sit and wait, and then you put one of his toys and hide it in a room. You tell him to go and find it. That's the only way to keep him busy. Otherwise, he starts to lob it. He lobs his toy all the time. Like, he's with a rock like the last week, and he threw that on my foot, and that definitely won't. I weren't too happy about that. A big one. Yeah. So, but no, yeah, mate. I mean, I know that I remember you testing out a lot to do with mushrooms and different stuff like that.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of interesting stuff with mushrooms.
Yeah, I go back and forth with stuff. Originally, when I was taking it, I was I was taking like a gram of each. But I really didn't get much out of it. I didn't think. And then the things I was taking, they're supposed to help with your immune function. They're supposed to be what's called adaptogens, and adaptogens fall into the category for me of too good to be true, but they're a staple in Chinese herbs. And essentially what an adaptogen is if there's something off with a regulator in your body, like if you're either too hot or too cold, you take an adaptogen and it'll make you even keeled. Right? So if you have excess or vacuity, you take an adaptogen and it resolves it. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't seem to add up to me, but I mean, people take it and they really enjoy it, and they think it works. Um, so I took it, and then I got sicker than I ever got. Like, so I've never had the flu, like, as an
Mm,
adult.
mm,
Maybe like 15 years ago, I had pneumonia when I was playing baseball,
mm.
right? But other than that, mm, I really don't get sick. And then while I was taking this stuff, I was like, I don't know, a month in of taking a two month supply, and it was in January. I got sicker than I've ever gotten in my life. Like, the body aches, like the flu was going around. And I don't know if it was the flu that I got or if I
Yeah,
got
Corona,
coronavirus. Yeah, if I
maybe,
got corona
maybe.
before everyone. So I kind of poo-pooed it. I kind of chalked it up to being like, all right, well, this stuff is kind of bullshit. I'm gonna stop drinking this dirt water. But there seem to have been some uh, really good results with lion's mane, and I want to say not demyelination, but assisting in protecting the myelin in the brain, and it's supposed to help with cognitive thought.
Neurogenesis,
Yeah,
right? Is that
yeah,
correct? Or not?
yeah.
Okay.
I forget, right? And I'm terrified of getting Alzheimer's. I'm
Mm.
one of among many things that I'm fucking terrified of getting, but I'm terrified of getting Alzheimer's. So, I mean, I'm taking and my memory is shot just from having the business, having to train people, worrying about personal life, and then on top of it, taking 30 credits a semester, right? So or not 30 credits a semester, 30 hours of classes a semester. So I'm going bonkers, pulled in every direction, and my memory sucks. So I still take the lion's mane right now. I take about 2 grams of fish oil daily. And what else do I take? I take some multis. Um, and I also occasionally I'll take some psyllium husk in the morning as well. Some soluble fiber. But other than that, I really don't take much of anything else. You said you're taking maca powder as well?
Yeah, yeah. And more so, not big for a specific reason, but because I had a load of it lying around. Someone wanted me to order it for them, so I ordered a bunch, and they never wanted it, so I was like, "Fuck it." So, but when I was in like Peru, like a load of people were talking about it.
And what were they
Group,
using it for?
a lot of them people use it for fertility. So I think again, it has something to do with blood flow and in this type of realm. So people also talk about it as stimulant properties to it and different things like that. So I don't know. Honestly, mate, I don't all this stuff, man. I never know, bro.
Yeah.
I never really know.
Unless we're getting blood work done consistently, we're not going to know. Or to do some kind of
Yeah.
actual testing, you just flat out won't know. What else are you
Yeah,
taking?
and it's just a hierarchy. It's on. That's it, bro. That's it. Like it's all. It's also the hierarchy, right? Like supplements are like, it's like it's minimal percentages that you're getting. I mean, sleeping and making sure your home's set in order and all this different stuff. This can have way bigger bang for your buck than probably anything else. And plus, also, we spoke about it before, but placebo. I mean, placebo works on people that even know that when they even know they're taking placebo, it
Yeah.
still works. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that everything then's bullshit, but you know what? I mean, I don't know. I like it. I like to just have a shake after I've trained. And all these people in the Caribbean, they say, keeps you young, fit, and healthy. I mean, why not?
What shake are you taking?
No, that's it. Like I said, mate. So just sea moss, maca, load of frozen berries, some almond milk, unsweetened almond milk with some clove. And then it depends. Sometimes I'll even put a bit of maple syrup in there. We've got some lovely organic maple syrup from my girls' cousins. They have an organic farm up in Quebec. So if we can get some of that in there, that's great. Otherwise, just normal maple syrup.
And no protein or anything in it?
No, because usually I'll have like 500 grams of ground beef or something. I'll have like burgers and that, and then I'll just or a steak or eggs.
Yeah.
I keep it super simple, man. I don't. You know, I also don't eat that much compared to what I used to before, maybe only once or twice a day, and just, you know, whatever's laying around, and just make sure it's not bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how are you eating? How are you eating with this quarantine?
Really good. I mean, the butcher's still open close by, so a lot of meat, plants and animals, fruits sometimes, and yeah, mate, that's about it. We're lucky, like, because I'm in the countryside, so the farm's still producing a lot of stuff, so we can still get good fresh produce. And for us, there's not really been that much of a difference, mate, to be honest, apart from the fact that I haven't had to travel out of the house most days of the week. That's been the only difference. So, well, what about you? You eating like tins of sardines or something, or?
No. So prior to the quarantine, I was doing the carnivore diet just for shits and giggles, not because I believe it works or anything like that, like I believe in anything, but I was like, ah, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. It's easy. It's going to lead to a caloric deficit, and it's going to make me going out to eat with people or me doing anything significantly easier. So fuck it. It's gonna stop me from eating Oreos. So I did the carnivore diet, and I went from like 206. No, I went from like 202 down to 194 within, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And I started getting like veins in my abs again. I was like, oh shit, this is sweet. I may stay on this. But I had only planned on being on it for 4 weeks. And then this quarantine came. And if I'm just left to my own devices, I mean, bro, there's not much I won't eat. Plus you gotta support the local businesses. So I gotta support, you know, Favali's Pizzeria. I gotta support Cuban Pete. I gotta
So
support.
Cuban Pete's doing delivery, or what? Are they doing takeout?
No, they're doing takeout, and I'm pissed because I like my meal warm, but they're fucking half hour away. So I drive there, I get the food, I eat the appetizers in the car on the ride home.
The chicken lollipops and the bacon wrap dates. Yes,
and I make a fucking mess. But I mean, so now since I got to support all these businesses, like there's a new barbecue place down the street that I got to support because it's the right thing to do.
Sure.
So my diet has really, and then on top of that, I also have to support, you know, Nabisco with and Kellogg's and eating their cookies and all their cereal. So I'll have like a box of Lucky Charms in a day, like the family size pack. I'm so bad. Vicky gets so pissed at me. She has to buy like 6 boxes of cereal for herself and tell me not to eat them, and I still fucking eat them. So I went in a matter of like 2 weeks. I went from 194 right back to 200.
Well, that was probably also because you didn't want to get shit from all the people that were under 200 pounds after you used to get, what was it you used to say?
I used to say,
not a man if he weighs under 200 pounds or something.
No,
like that.
I used to say a man under 200 pounds is a woman.
So there you go. There you go.
But I'm kind of back on track a little bit now. Once I saw the scale tip to 200, I was like, fuck. All right, I gotta tuck this back in a little bit. So my brother Goods wanted to get back in shape again. So we all made a deal, me, him, and his roommate. We work out because we've all been quarantined. So we work out, and here's my little rat.
Hey, Freya.
Hey, Frey. So a man under 200 pounds is a woman, and a dog under 20 pounds is a rat. But luckily, I just weighed her again. She's 25 and a half pounds right now. Look at this.
There you go, man. There you go. She's getting bigger. Just get her fat, and then you'll be all right. She's cute, though.
She's so this morning.
Did she shit in your bedroom again?
No. But this morning I had her on the leash, and we were going for a walk through the industrial complex. And like because I have fucking ADD, I was like fumbling around with the leash, and it got away from me. And then she was like 5 feet away. I was like, "Come here, Frey, come here." And I said, "Oh, touch." And she looked at me, and like started walking away. I said, Freya, and she booked it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were halfway through the industrial complex, which is just like, I don't know, 4 or 5/10 of a mile away. Booked it. And I had to call Vicky. I was like, I turned a corner. She was gone. She ended up, she sprinted right to our house. I said, Vicky, go downstairs and please look for Freya. I don't know where she is. I'm going to look in the industrial complex, and I just want to make sure she didn't run home. Vicky opened the door, and Freya was just sitting there like, I'm here. Open up.
Crazy.
I was so pissed. I was so pissed. But so anyway, going back. So we used to have 5 a.m. workouts way back, the 5 a.m. crew. And now we're doing like the 6:30 a.m. crew, where it's just me, Joe, and Eddie. We're working out, and just I got to get Joe to lose weight. So this week, Joe's lost maybe 4 pounds, 5 pounds, getting the diet right. So now my diet's been on point too. I told everyone, I said, since I charge a certain amount per hour, I said, there's X amount of people here. You guys are all responsible for a portion of my fee if you end up gaining weight. So for every single time you gain weight, you owe me $50, or and we weigh ourselves every single day. I don't give a fuck. I say you could be the same weight, but you can't be more.
Yeah, that's a good bit of accountability there.
Yeah. And my brother's cheap as hell. He's just like me. So like paying anything. And I said, if you miss a workout, that's $50. But like they don't pay for workouts. They only pay if they fuck up. Sure.
Oh, good. Yeah. Let's see. That was awesome to see when the goods was in good shape.
I know. I had him down to like 175, I think, and he looked awesome.
Was he that low? Crazy.
Yeah.
I never knew he was that low.
Yeah, he started off at 240, went all the way down to 175, and then he started working in the city. And I mean, what's the city life like, right? You gotta go out, you gotta drink with your boss, you gotta drink with your boss's friends, and then when you get drunk, you have no self-control. So you just fucking binge eat. And finally, after 5 years, he gained almost all the weight back.
Yep.
And now we just need to pull it right back again. That's all there is to it. So as a result, my weight now is like 196.
Cool. Yeah. I had a moment of despair when was that? About 6 weeks ago. I looked at myself, I was like, you got fucking fat. Like not even realizing it. And I mean, not like outrageously, like not like chubby, like people were saying, oh my God, you're fat, but I was like, I got fucking fat on my back, like my love handles. That was it then. I was like, you cannot be doing this. So yeah, I don't know, mate. It's interesting how your body changes over time. Because I mean, it wasn't even through really unhealthy living either. It was just eating more than before.
Yeah.
Eating regular, rather than just once a day or whatever. And especially with right now, where I mean, how many steps you reckon that we take a day?
That's exactly right.
We take a lot of steps. I remember because I had one of those Garmin watches, like with the GPS in it and all this other stuff, and I never used it for any of that stuff, right? But the watch would always vibrate because there'd been a certain amount of steps going. But because the watch would always fuck up, I never knew if it was legit or not. But I mean, I reckon that, through an average day, we take a fair few steps, and our metabolic activity is way higher.
Yeah. In an average day of me at the gym, I'll walk maybe 5 miles, maybe 7 miles is what I'll walk in a day. So I'll burn anywhere between, just without even trying, 500 to 700 calories. Well, since quarantine, you're not burning those calories as much, but you're not walking nearly as much. So you just got to keep finding a way to get your steps up. So for me to lose the weight and for my brother to lose weight, it's really easy. I mean, it's an equation, right? So it's calories in versus calories out. So just keep track of the calories out, or calories in, and then just burn as many calories out as you possibly can. We're going to do resistance training, put on muscle. And then, I make them take pictures of themselves on a walk every single day. So after we work out every day, they have to go home at night and still walk 2 miles. And there's an additional, if you do that every single day for 7 days, that's 1,400 calories. And you do that for 3 weeks, there you go.
Yep.
3 weeks, you lost a pound of fat just from walking 2 miles every day.
Yeah, a pound of fat's what, 3,500 calories, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah, there you go. It is pretty simple, mate. But people like to complicate things. You know, ain't that difficult, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Also now, you know, people not used to being in gyms and with the, you know, I think for us it's different because we've got people that really, this their profession to be in, you know, optimal shape. But for the average person that's just going to the gym to look good, it'd be interesting how many of them still look good with no gym and, you know, having
Like
to do
the
stuff
big
at
meathead
home.
bodybuilders.
Yeah, yeah. I bet a lot of those guys had some really difficult times
Yeah. Well,
over
they're
this
a
over
lot of
this
the
period.
personality of a bodybuilder is they're introverts, and they're very regimented, right? So to break up their regiment, I mean, God only knows what it did to their psyche.
That's that's what I mean. And I think the biggest concern that I got right now is, well, concern, not really a concern. It doesn't stop me from sleeping, but something that I think about is, imagine like the, you know, mental health was such a huge topic before, you know, and now it's like, I bet you there's a lot of people that are really going through some dark shit,
Yeah.
you know, because there's this, they don't really separate who they are and what they're doing, you know. So when everything packs all up, then you're kind of like, well, hang on, who am I? you know, should be going out right now and pumping iron and taking pictures for everybody on Instagram. Ain't getting that right now. So, but they're the real winners out of all this, man. All the social media companies, they must be fucking. Imagine the usage rates of things, especially
Yeah.
like the newer one, like what was it? What's it called?
TikTok.
TikTok. You know, Jesus.
And you're pretty much void of all that stuff. You do have an Instagram, you do have a Twitter, you just don't use either of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go on Twitter occasionally to have a little look if I'm really bored, but I don't know, man. It's always the same thing. Like, oh yeah, I'll start back up again, and then I
Just
don't.
can't be bothered.
Why do I want to do it? You know, like I got a good, you know, business wise, things are good. I mean, I could get more clients, of course. Like you don't not want to get more, but everything comes mouth to mouth, which also means that there's an element of you don't really have to sell yourself, right? Because they've already been recommended to you, so you have to explain like kind of how you're going to do things, your philosophy, what you sort of see with this person and that, blah blah blah. But I don't know, bro. I
I
don't know.
was I was real close to not having any social media at one point, and then Brandon Marshall contacted me through Instagram,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
that's how he found me. And I was like, oh fuck. I was so bummed. I was like, all right, well, now I just got to keep this up, and I keep going. And he contacted Quincy. He contacted the Giants after seeing me and asked about me, and they all gave the okay. But I mean, that was my resume,
Yeah.
was my Instagram,
Yeah.
whether I like it or not.
Yeah. And I don't think, you know, I never think like, oh, social media is bad or this thing is bad.
I just
Or
think it's fucking annoying.
it's no, it's really honestly, mate. I think it's just the way you use it. I mean, you can read, you know, shitty newspapers or you can read good or let's say decent newspapers. You can watch shitty films or good films. You can read good books, bad books. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if social media is necessarily good or bad. It's just really the way that you decide to use it. I mean, there's some things on Twitter that I find, you know, I don't think it detracts from my life. I feel like you get a little bit of a dopamine hit of kind of like condensed wisdom, if you want to kind of call it that. I don't know how, but you know what I mean? Like, whereas Instagram, I don't know. Like, I see so many people, you know, and really a lot of people, because I work with quite a lot of young people, they know more about what's going on in someone else's reality than they do of their own.
Yeah,
And that's kind of where it's like, you know, they sit there, they've just finished training, and the first thing they're doing is like, and it's you, and if you keep your dialogue going, they've been completely engaged with you. They've grabbed, you know, a device, and their attention is now you know, you're not even finished your sentence, and it's gone. Everything's just fully in lock mode of this, and it's not even in front of their face, and that's where I find it a bit strange. So, I mean, you know, yeah, dude, I don't think it's necessarily good or bad, just the way you use it. And I mean, I remember, right? Because, you know, Brandon Marshall, also Kevin, you have to remember, bro, my nickname's Mr. Lucky because every time I've been there with you, you've got a big high profile client, right?
I know I got to get you back.
Exactly. So, you know how that all come about, and that for sure come about because of this. And, you know, let's say, like, for example, me, you know, if I had it all set up good, blah, 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 I could just go out and just pick people because eventually I just want to work with who I really, really, really want to work with. So you can just pick them. I guess that's how I sort of see what Instagram is. It's probably the biggest networking tool that there is. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's what they say. They say Instagram's your resume now.
Yeah. 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 And if you speak to also like the younger generations, they're the ones that are going to, you know, take over, and they're so concerned with it that they're also like, why haven't you got this?
Mate, you know what I was just thinking about? Remember, you were also there when I had Hogan as well, and it was before Hogan was anyone, and he was being a twat at the gym. And I've told this story on Instagram before. People asked like what my favorite Hogan story was. This might be one of my favorites. And he was being completely obnoxious, and he wasn't doing. It was when we were at DeFranco's. He wasn't doing what I was saying to do. Was telling him to do. He was being combative. He was causing an issue, and it was just disruptive to the group. And I pulled him to the side. I pulled him outside. I said, "Listen, go to Parisi's."
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
I said, Chris, listen, I can't take this anymore. I can't stand you. Like, I like you as a person, and I hate training you. You're combative. You're disruptive. I don't want you around anymore. Go to Parisi's. It's okay. I'm okay with this. Go to Parisi's. Our friendship will be much better if you're just not here. And he like looked at me and he paused, because normally I just stare. I'm like, you fucking dick, stop being up, you know, like, so no, that's the normal approach. And then when I pulled him aside and I was like, I just can't stand you anymore. And then I walked away, and I watched him. He sat there and he was like, and then he came back in and he did what he was supposed to do after a couple of minutes. We've
seen a lot of good ones. Yeah.
Go to Parisi's.
That was I think the first time I was out there.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah, it was at it was when you were still at DeFranco's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the long summer, that was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was before he was anybody really.
I remember another time with him. It was when he had just gotten signed with the Bills, and it was that summer. I had him and Tradow, and I was going through some shit at the time, so I was a little extra edgy, a little more edgy than usual. And back then, my temper was way worse than it is now. And Chris had this thing, like, he has to do these half-gassers. I have to do half-gassers. Like, why do you have to do these? So we're doing speed work right now. Don't fatigue yourself by doing those. Like, let's stick with one theme at a time. So I went inside. We were at the facility that I'm currently at, actually, funny enough, because they had the space to run, whereas DeFranco's didn't have the space to run then. So we did it inside, and it was raining out. So I went into the other room to get a med ball, and as I came out, Chris was doing the half-gassers during his rest period. And I was like, that's it, motherfucker. You're training your fucking self from now on. I'm fucking done with you. And I threw the fucking med ball up, and Tradow was like, dude, what about me? And I started walking out. I said, Justin, I'm fucking sorry. Blame it on that cocksucker. I can't fucking take this shit anymore. And I just left. I left in the middle of the session. I said, you know so fucking much. Why don't you just train your fucking self, you loser? I was so pissed. I stormed out. I fucking stormed, and I just left him.
Man, where is Hogan now? What's he even doing? Who's he playing for?
He's waiting for a call. He's got to wait. He's got to wait till after the draft.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Crazy. So he went from Like the last I heard, he was still at New England.
He was with New
Right?
England. He had his 3-year contract there. And then he ended up going to Carolina. And now it was a 1-year deal with Carolina, and now is another 1-year deal. So we'll see. I mean, which is incredible for him, considering he didn't play college football. Really, he played for Monmouth, and he was like a safety, defensive back, corner guy. He was on defense at Monmouth, and then they ended up bringing him in offense in the NFL. And now he's been there, 8 seasons? This will be his 8th or his 9th season, something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty. He is very impressive, Chris. He can be a complete cunt, but he is impressive. You know,
I don't even think I could have him on the podcast. It'll just be me fucking yelling at him the whole time.
I told you what we should do. We should organize to get him on. Organize to get him on the podcast and see how long it is until he quits. We'll make a bet between the two of us. We'll pretend it's all real, and then let's just see how quickly we can wind him up, and then he just quit. So, no, I mean, like going back to, to Chris. I mean, if I go back to when I first really met him, I mean, he was just he's like a physical specimen. For a white guy, he's like super special.
Well, so I mean, Chris he's one of the best athletes that I've ever seen. And granted, I've trained guys that are really, really incredible people, but I mean, Chris could pick up anything and be good at it right away, right? Like you see him with a golf club in his hand.
Yep.
The kid don't fucking practice golf, and he'll just hit it straight away, 300 yards. I mean, ping pong, play him in ping pong. Dude, I played him in wiffle ball. I was a college All-American, but I also suck at wiffle ball, but I was a college All-American, and I had a big leaguer on my team, right? It was me and Rob Delaney, and then versus him and Pat Dean. Dude, Chris fucking owned us. It was embarrassing. And these are pro pitchers. It's like, what the fuck I was so pissed. He's so good. Like, soccer doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he does.
I remember when we were doing, I think it was a tempo day or something like that, and we had an American football, and he wanted me to show him how different like kicks can happen in rugby, like drop kick or like a spiral kick or a punt. And I remember the first time I showed him kind of how a spiral kick goes, he was like, all right. He just grabbed it and he knocked it perfect. And he kicked that ball so far. And I remember looking at him like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, when he fucking works at it, when he first came out, he was 220. I think he was 218. And now he plays at like 200, 204 pounds. That's kind of where he floats. He might drop below 200 here and there, but that's where he feels best. And, I mean, and he's a blocking receiver, even at that light weight. I mean, that goes to show you how strong he is, but he could be, he did 225 for, what did he do? 225 for like 28 times or some shit like that. Yeah. He was freakish, but that was when we were focusing on strength work and the combine testing specifically. And now I don't give a shit about that. And his game has improved, so that's the difference between the two. So he's lighter and like weaker, but he's still strong as shit if he wanted to be.
Yeah, sure. And the thing that I find most impressive about him is he rises always to the occasions.
Yeah.
When you're playing, and that's also the interesting thing also with, say, like Brady, right? Like, I mean, I don't know nothing about American football, so I'm not even going to try to pretend. But that guy raises, you talking last time about James saying about, rising tide,
raises all ships. Yeah.
Raises all ships, right? Well, Brady's one of the guys who, if he, he just manages to bring out the best in other people too. And then say, like, for example, Chris being able to just, take the opportunities and still play so well, in a good team, considering, like he wasn't drafted, was he? I mean, he never, as we said, he never played really in college. He was a lacrosse player, and he's done it, done fucking awesome for himself.
Yeah.
So millions, good for him, man.
Yeah. And what's really cool about Chris's story is Chris was signed by the San Francisco 49ers and ended up, someone like stepped on his ankle and it jacked up his ankle when he was in camp with them. So he ended up getting released during the last cuts. Waited, I want to say that year, he waited 6 weeks after that and got a workout with the Giants and was with the Giants for a week on their practice squad. Got released. Waited the rest of the season. Crickets. The last week of the season, he got called by the Dolphins. And the Dolphins were like, hey, we'll sign you. He's fuck yeah. So he goes down there for a week. And then, that's it. Then they sign him to a futures contract for the following year. And he ended up working out. And that's when
Hard Knocks or something come out,
the
right?
HBO special Hard Knocks came out, and we were training all year long for that. So then we trained all off season after pretty much training all season together, trained all off season. And then he had the Hard Knocks thing, made it to camp, made it through camp, got cut the last day of camp, and re-signed to the practice squad for 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, I forget, and then released. No calls from any team for another 10 weeks. And then with like 3 weeks left in the season, 4 weeks left in the season, he gets a call from Buffalo. Buffalo signs him. Practice squad, dress, boom. And then the next season took off with Buffalo, was with Buffalo for 2 or 3 years, and then got signed by the Patriots. And now everyone knows who the hell he is. It's a really cool
great story.
But realistically, for 2 years, the motherfucker didn't work. And it was just us. Dude, I trained him for free.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't afford to pay me. So whatever, man. And talk about an investment. Like the kid's killing it now. I mean, what did he end up making? $15 million in his career after not playing football for 2 years while trying to play football? Like, talk about not quitting. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and I'm sure that adds all that to just rising to the occasion. I mean, winning Super Bowls, playing with all these great players, not allowing probably 99.9% of everybody else is going to say, and he still rolls to it. And, that's also, I find that so amazing about Chris too, is, he oozes confidence in that situation and scenario where most people would also crumble. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Because you can have all the physical attributes, man. Like, how many people do you know that are fucking stud people? And then when it counts, I'm sure Brady I'm sure he always says to them is, you just need to do this and be there and just be ready because it's coming for you. 100%.
Well, that's the motto of the Patriots, is just do your job. Right? So as long as you just do your job, shit will be fine. Just do your job. So they're just trained to do their job. Keep doing your job. Things will fall into place. And it's a great motto. It's perfect motto. So what are you doing with your own personal training for now? Like how are you working out?
So I'm trying to just do something different every day. That's the first requirement. I'm a lot to do with the sauna and cold, so like a lot of different thermogenic stuff. I'm enjoying loads of different type of breathing stuff too, and I'm just really, mate, I'm trying to be minimal like I was before. I mean, I'm lucky that I've got equipment in my house, in my own gym here, but I don't use it too much, if I'm completely honest. I mean, I separated my shoulder. When was that? That was last winter. And I never really rehabbed it properly. I kept re-injuring it. And then I just had meniscus surgery not too long ago. So, I mean, I'm more trying to just feel good again, mate, and move my body around. I got full range of motion back in my leg now. I had surgery 7 weeks ago, and I've been training my legs pretty good. I'm doing a lot of hiking. And that's about it, mate, to be honest. I mean, I do a lot of different, like, sort of circuit stuff, bodyweight circuits, trying to change them up, and different band stuff. But yeah, mate, honestly, not too crazy. I also train sometimes with my athletes if they've got like a low day and they're also feeling a bit, people are and sometimes not so motivated right now, especially with everything that's going on. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll train with you. And then, of course, as soon as there's two of you, then it's game on straight away. So, but yeah, mate, I'm really enjoying playing around with the hot and cold. I think that's pretty cool. And maybe it's just because it's a new stimulus, but I feel like it works pretty good.
Yeah, when I first started training Kevin, he was telling me how his old trainer would work out with him. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. That seems weird, but he appreciates having a workout partner. Like working out by yourself kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you have a trainer, like it kind of sucks. So like I could understand like maybe this year I'll end up working out with him a little bit here and there. Like it'll just make things a little bit easier on him. But yeah,
Sure.
the workout partner definitely does make a difference. I mean, that's why I like the group atmosphere better than training people one-on-one.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, a lot of people think that they want the private and they want just that sort of intense intimacy with their trainer. But really, a lot of the time, what they're wanting is they want to kind of get out their own head anyway and just, get after it a little bit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, imagine though, if we trained all of our sessions that we did it with them, and just say like we didn't go max, just sub max, but we would be in very, very good shape.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I feel bad doing it because it's almost like selfish. Like I'm sitting there and I'm not.
Yeah, I felt bad. Like I was like, should I really be getting paid if I'm also training right now?
Dude, that's what I said. And that's what I was saying with Kevin. Like, dude, this guy's paying me a ton of money. I can't be fucking working out while I'm doing this. This is unprofessional. But then it's what they want. It's what they need.
Yeah. And I really thought about that because, especially when my knee I was like still hobbling around on crutches the first couple of weeks after the surgery. And I was doing these calls and I was like, if I could just do half of what everybody's doing the whole time, like especially do the warm-ups with them and all, if you did that 3-4 times a day, you'd feel amazing. And the cumulative effect of that submaximal,
I know,
amazing. It would be amazing.
I know.
So, and then, yeah, I don't know. I'm like toying with it in my head a little bit because, you could, it definitely, it does change it. And especially what it does to us, because we're also competitive people, right? It's like, we were also athletes, we weren't that good. That's why we didn't become pro, and also injuries and other things, right? But the reality is we didn't have it good enough to go pro, right?
100%. 100%.
But we have the experience from sport, which means that there's still that little fire in us that loves it. So I don't know. I guess it also depends who it is and what you're doing, but I'm more and more open to the idea of doing the session with people. And especially anyway, when you're doing sauna work and cold with them, you got to make.
Yes.
I worked out the other day. I was in the 100-degree sauna. I was in there for over an hour. I mean, not all at once, but over periods of 15 minutes, throughout the day. That also takes a toll on your body too. I mean, I remember finished up for the day. I was shagged, and I'm like, fucking hell, I feel like I've been hit by a bus. But then I realized I've been in and out of the hot and cold constantly all day long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's also a good investment into our long-term health.
Yeah,
I can't see it damaging us.
There's no refuting the fact that this will be beneficial for us. It's tough for me to get over the idea that this is professional to be working out with these guys. Like I'm sitting here, but if I were to do submaximal things with these guys, but I'm with it. But then again, if you're just kind of going through the motions, there's not much competition for these guys either.
Of course. Dude, it's difficult because, I mean, especially if you think like, okay, right, well, we're going to work on some speed stuff. I mean, you have to be fully concentrating on what's going on.
Exactly.
Fully committed to them. You can't be like huffing and puffing and thinking, you know what I mean? Like you can't be not engaged. So I don't know. It's hard. I think it's always context. It always depends. And in this instance, definitely.
Yeah.
So, but I say that, for example, your group of high school guys, I'm sure they would have had their best session that they ever had if you was training in there with them.
Yeah. So, I have a couple of kids there, and all my kids that I always say I have like a 10% of the population, right? I don't attract the typical gym going clientele. I always say if there's 100% of kids that play sports, or of people that play sport, or excuse me, of kids in high school, what, 50% of people play sports, all right, whether they run, track, or do whatever. Of that 50%, half of those people care enough about their sport to practice every day. And of those people, half of those people, so we're at 25%, or actually I should say 12.5%, genuinely care enough to get lessons in their sport. And of those people, maybe half of them give a fuck enough to get personal training. So that, what does that come out to be, like 6.5 or 6.25%? Anywhere between 5 to 10% of the population is what I get. So I don't get a ton of pussies. These kids are motivated. They want to do stuff, but occasionally, like, so I always get really good kids. For the most part, I don't get babysitters because we don't advertise. If we advertised, I'd probably get a bigger percentage. I'd probably get the same kids that want lessons, right? But we don't advertise. It's all word of mouth. So the kids that come with me are really good kids. I don't really have any bad kids. So I really like them. And sometimes they need a little extra motivation. So I'll challenge them, right? We're going to be doing push-ups together. And obviously I'm fucking stronger than them. So I'll set outrageous limits to me in order to beat them. So it's like, for every push-up you do, I have to do 5 in a row. And all the push-ups have to be of good form. There's this one kid, he was like he's 13 years old, struggling with push-ups and struggling staying motivated. And he was just kind of like chilling there. And I don't count sets or reps. That's not my job. There's a lot of accountability that goes into this. Sets and reps is like whatever to me. I can't fucking count anyway. Like I lose.
Dude, I'm terrible.
Oh,
even when people are doing the exercise, I will lose track 100% of the reps.
Yeah.
I've also moved a lot more into using time.
Yes.
Because I don't want to be counting. I don't want to be caring about looking at stopwatching the whole time with things. So I'll just have it on my interval timer. I've got loads of different protocols on it, and we'll just work with that for most of the time.
I can't do two things at once. Most people can't. So like, if I'm going to sit there and I'm going to look at form, and while I'm looking at form, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, all right, well, what is this doing? Why does it look like that? And I'm rolling my eyes, and I'll look at 3 reps and then look away from them because I'm fucking thinking the whole time. I can't count during that. You kidding me? Like, hell no. So I see kids struggling and they need a little extra oomph. So what I'll do, I'll challenge them. So we got to do, hey, for everything you do, I got to do 5 or whatever the hell it is. So it's during those times with my high school kids, it's fun. But once they get older, I mean, all my guys are pretty motivated, I think Ryan would do the tread sled against Hogan just to like rub it in his face to make sure, like, because Chris always gives Ryan a hard time. Because that's Chris. That's Hogan. Yeah. And he just fucking, he's
always fishing. He's always fishing.
Like he's quiet. He keeps to himself unless he knows you. And then he'll just fucking poke and prod. Right. So that's what he does to Ryan. So Ryan's like, all right, I'll shut him up. So Ryan trained for the tread sled for like 6 weeks before they went on it and made sure that he just fucking bitched him.
Awesome.
And Ryan lives for that. Ryan lives for that shit. I mean, if Ryan could work out with all his clients, I think he would.
Yeah. I mean, what are you doing for your training? I mean, you had this 5 a.m. group for a long time. You were enjoying that. Then that sort of finished. Now you're saying that you're with your brother and his mate.
Yeah. So now what we're doing, the first week, I mean, these guys are so out of shape that I just did basic cardio stuff with them and basic shoulder stuff. Just to give them a good foundation just for the week. And in that first week, we'd show up and we'd walk half a mile, just walking. Now the both of them end up having like ankle issues because they're 230 pounds each, and they're 5'10" and they're not muscle, right? They're working class guys. So we start off walking half a mile. If we start running, that's too much pounding. Their ankles are going to hurt. Their calves are going to hurt. Their knees are going to hurt. Fuck that. Like, I want to encourage it. I want to make sure it's easy enough that they're like, hey, this is good. But we're working for an entire hour, so we're going to burn some calories. We'd walk, then we'd hit the row machine, and on the row machine, we'd have to do 30 calories. That's it. 30 calories. What does it take? 2 minutes, 3 minutes? That's what we did. Did 30 calories, and we go walking again. Come back, another 30 calories. Walk again, 30 calories. At one point, that was our leg workout. and their legs were jello from that shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not like we're walking at a fast pace. We only burned, I don't know, in an hour session, the first hour session, like 350 calories. Like that's not that much, right? That's the equivalent of walking 3.5 miles in an hour. That's not a fast pace. But we also did some rotator cuff work, you know, some light stuff, just building a good foundation. And believe it or not, during that first week, they gained weight. Well, Joe, my brother gained weight because he's like, oh, I'm working out. I could eat more, but we had to get the diet under control. So after that, then I started introducing weight work and saying, all right, good. Now you guys know what the cardio has to be. You guys have to walk 2 miles after our workout, not here, but later on. So they're both in quarantine. So they're sitting down all day, every day. So now I do this workout as well. So what we do is we start off, we'll walk in the beginning of the workout, and then we'll do some, whatever we're doing that day, whether it's lower body or upper body, we're going to do the rotator cuff of the hip or rotator cuff of the shoulder. That's what we're going to warm up. Then after that, we're going to do bigger movements. So we'll do lunges or we'll do push-ups and rows or some shoulder shit. And then, so we'll do rotator cuff exercise, big shoulder exercise, body weight push, body weight pull, weighted push, weighted pull, some fucking gun show. And there you go. And then after that, that's an upper body workout. We're done. It'll take about an hour. I'll hit the sauna. They'll go home. And then they go for a walk later that day because I want to make sure that we break it up. That way they're not sedentary for another 12 hours, then going to sleep, right? I want to break it up. That way it's like, hey, we get a rise in heart rate in the morning, rise in heart rate in the evening. That way it's, you know, it's a little bit of a wave. It's not just peak, valley. And I have to end up doing that as well. And on our leg days, we keep it super, super simple because, again, I mean, Eddie's torn his ACL and never rehabbed it. Like, what? Tore his ACL, never rehabbed it. Tore his meniscus, never rehabbed it. Like, what? Like in my eyes, it's like, how the fuck does someone do that? But this is a general population. Sure. This is what these people. So if we do too much with him, he won't come back. So we're doing Peterson step ups off 6 inches with Eddie, or 4 inches with Eddie, day one. And we did 3 sets of 20. And he's like, dude, my legs are jello. Yeah. Right. But that's the population. So day one, that's what we did. We just do what we have to do. Yep. So our leg days are fairly simple right now, but we're going to build on it. You know, so but we work out almost every day. I gave them Wednesday off last week. And this week, I don't even know if I'll give them Wednesday off. We may just say, fuck it and work out every single day. Sure. What do we have to lose?
No, and it's all consistency, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's really the key. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you can train again tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. So we just do it every day. And I do the sauna now every single day. Yeah. It feels good, huh? Oh my God, dude. I love it. Yeah. I love it. And the circulation that I get from it, so good. Improving mental health, mental clarity. I'm feeling better. Dude, I'm getting significantly better blood flow for male organs. You know what I mean? Like it's insane. Yep. Way more boners. Yeah. Yeah. The wind getting you excited, bro. Yeah, dude. It's so great. Yeah. It's so important for circulation. And that's all it is, blood flow, right? So if I'm doing extra cardio, and that's how I kind of look at it. I look at it as if, well, all you're doing is just getting your heart rate elevated, right? And the heat is increasing your body temperature, and then your heart rate's going to increase to lower your body temperature, to circulate the blood and bring it to the surface. So it lowers the body temperature. So essentially you're doing cardiovascular work without fucking moving, which is going to yield some kind of adaptation. So that's great. Sure. So I'm doing extra cardio work on top of my cardio work, and no wonder I'm feeling fucking better. Yeah. And I mean, your cardio was god awful. Even after the 2 weeks, my cardio is god awful. But I mean, but it must be better than before. I mean, there were times where you would be struggling to breathe a lot, doing different things, right?
Anything more than 6 reps, I was out of breath.
Yeah, exactly.
I've
Exactly.
I've been like that my whole life. I've never had. I mean, I've always been a very, very fast kid. When I was like 4th, 5th grade, I was always the fastest kid in the grade, right? So the youngest kids, like when you're real young, the fastest kids when they're young end up being the fastest kids when they're older, typically, right? So my mile time, there were kids that I was faster than whose miles would shit on mine. I mean, I remember kids getting like 7-minute miles. Like, holy fuck, how do they do that? And I'd be getting like 9, 10-minute miles. It was pathetic. But I never had good cardio in my entire life. I was able to sprint like a motherfucker.
Yeah. I think cardio seems to be, it gets more and more important to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think the older you get, cardio is really the key.
For general population, you can't go wrong with cardio. Let me rephrase. Unless you're one of those ultra marathoners that's getting hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, like when your heart grows, the musculature grows so much that it grows from the inside and it shrinks the space within your heart. That's an issue. But other than that, like we're not doing that.
No,
you know what I mean?
No. And there was like, you know, and rightly so, like, you know, a change in the sort of mainstream between just aerobic based stuff to then doing weights. And of course, resistance training is also very, very good. It's not an argument about what one is better than the other. But as you get older, I think you appreciate more and more and more is like a solid bit of cardio, you know, and it seems to be in terms of like health benefits that, you know, accumulate with time. I mean, that's the key. You want to get your ticker. You want to keep that going well. Because I know a lot of really strong dudes that have dodgy hearts.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And
well, your heart is moving all day, all
day long,
all night, every night.
Yeah. And without that, you know, you're buggered. You really are. So, you know, and I don't know, like you can also be stressing your body in many other different ways while still it being a predominantly cardio-based activity. I mean, you go on a proper hike, you know, you don't even need a heavy backpack. I'm talking about you go on a proper one where it's, you know, at least 1,000 meters of elevation going on. You're going to feel your legs going.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then walk faster because then you definitely will, you know. So I don't know. And I mean, you know, it's been great, you know, like all this whole, like, you know, chicks getting into lifting and that, of course, great. Awesome. No one's complaining about this at all, right? Just to make it clear, no one's complaining. But I mean, you know, if I look at like the healthiest sort of elderly people here in Swiss, they're always moving. Yeah. They're always moving. I mean, a lot of it's like agriculture stuff, or they're going out in the mountains and hiking a lot, or they're still skiing. You know, when you see people that, you know, late 60s, 70s, still being able to ski, pretty impressive. You know, and you think, well, I'm going to get there at some point, maybe, but you think that you're going to end up getting there, and you would think, well, I still want to be able to do all of those activities, you know, and your health just gets more and more important as it goes along. So, yeah, I don't know. I've really started doing a lot more, you know, calisthenic stuff, keeping it really minimal, but using a lot of the times like 40-20 principles or different things like that, you know, or 50-10, and then you're changing sort of the predominant area that's working, and just, you know, moving the body around. Like I don't want to train for an hour and a half or 2 hours a day. I don't want to do it. You know, I might train for in total 90 minutes, but maybe 30 minutes of that's been in the sauna. You know what I mean? Another 10 to 15 minutes has been with different cold stuff going on. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. And I just, mate, if I wake up, I feel good and I'm ready to rock, I'll push it a little bit. And especially because you're just consistently going at it, that little voice that used to be like, oh, I don't want to do this. Now it's like, well, fucking do another 100.
Yep.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why don't you do another 100? You know? So, you know, that picks up a little bit. And yeah, mate, I don't know. I think it's just consistency, mate. That's the only thing. That's the key to basically everything, I feel like. Day in, day out.
I got to do more. Behaviors. I got to do more cold therapy. So
cold's good, man.
Yeah, I got the sauna. I just don't have the ice bath, but we have an ice machine.
You don't need well, look,
I need to get the hose. I need to hook the hose up.
Yeah, just get cold, you know, because it's just that change in temperature. I mean, I remember like years ago, and I don't know if it's still the case now because I don't read too much of the literature, but Shona Howson from Australian Institute of Sport, she did a lot on regenerative stuff when I was doing my master's. And she published stuff about from 10 degrees Celsius, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Anything lower than that doesn't seem to aid, you don't get any extra benefits from it. But, I feel like there are extra benefits when you've got a big layer of ice on there because your brain's telling you, I don't want to fucking go in there, and you got to overcome yourself. And, I've even, say, for example, like today.
Was it 10 degrees for 10 minutes? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think that's what I remember from it. Could be wrong, but I remember that 10 degrees for 10 minutes was a good protocol. And then and then for example,
that's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, and that's probably like just your cold tap.
Mm-hmm.
You turn on the cold tap, I think, or at least it was here when I last checked. So, but I had a bit of like plunge into a circuit too. So I was training outside today with a mate of mine. We had push, pull, a leg, an abdominal, and in the abdominal we worked different breathing work, and then a cold exposure. And we just did 40-20, 10 rounds of that. You're good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it needs to get that complicated.
So you think you're cool with the short duration, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off for that?
For what? For the cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just do it more because by that point, I'm already quite hot and sweaty and breathing. So I jump in there and then I'll only just go with my nose, because the more exposure that I do with it, there's nothing in your head. And you know what I mean? It's like,
you're doing 40 seconds in, 40 seconds in, 20 seconds out?
No, I mean, this was just the protocol. So today what I did was we did 20 minutes in 100 degrees as the warm up. Then we went out and then
holy shit. And
right.
Dude, that's 200. You're doing 20 minutes in a 220 degree sauna?
And it was already brutal. So we did that because we did 15 and then we were like ready to get out. But because there's two of us going, we're like, fuck it, let's do a bit more.
212 degree sauna, excuse me.
Yeah, 220. I mean, mine only goes up to 100 and it's hard. It could get to 95 to 97 pretty good. But to get it up to 100, it takes a while. You have to keep, splashing the rocks a bit, and you need to run it for quite a while. So we did that for the warm up. Then we got out. We went cold exposure up to the neck.
Where do you do your cold exposure? Do you have a tub, or do you do it?
I've got a big
do you
tub.
do it in like a garbage? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a big garbage tub.
Okay.
So fill that up, drop in, only nose breathing. 3 minutes. Got out, and then we started a circuit. So it was simple. It was like, this guy's just getting back into moving around too. So it was an inverted body weight row variation, and every round it changed. But to go, it was just like normal reps. We were doing at the beginning, just like nose only work. Normal reps of inverted body weight row. I had a Swiss ball out there. So we did a Swiss ball push up. We then did some sort of prisoner squat or prisoner lunge. Then we did a variation of plank or dead bug work. And then we just went back in to the cold. And what I find is it gives you this really good pump feeling that goes through your body. And it feels really quite nice. And just in the fact that I've gone from being like quite stressed out, quite out of breath, working, to then into the cold and then slowing everything down. It's just like a nice, it's kind of like my rest period, but the rest period is then in, because 20 seconds, if you've done 40 seconds of good solid work, 20 seconds it finishes pretty quick. Do you know what I mean? So I jump we go into the cold for a round, and that seems to go quite nicely. And then we just keep on going there, because as soon as you get out, then you just want to go again. Boom, boom, boom. So that was what we did.
That's really interesting.
Oh, mate, it's just playing around. Just changes it up. So
I like that.
What's cool is getting the bike or doing exercise in the sauna. That's cool. Like, and not cool, like, oh, they're so badass, but no, but like, it's really cool. Like, you get on a bicycle in the sauna, and again, it don't need to be for too long, but you're talking about, you get to a level where you is my phone going? Yeah, hang on, sorry, mate, the birds are going off, and I couldn't work out what's going on. It's my alarm. Yeah, going into a sauna and working in there, because the level of sort of stress that you can put yourself under, it's just it goes into such a completely different realm. So again, you don't go all the way mad, and you don't rank it up to 100 degrees and start going like a lunatic in there. But starting lower temperature and just getting your body used to it, because of this increased circulation. I don't know. I found it really, really quite nice. And especially, I mean, I've been doing some med ball work in there, not like rebounds on the wall, but just some stationary based med ball work. I used to get my guys to do at the end of the session especially they would have a high day. Because also how you do this sauna change, like it depends based on what we're doing for the day. So not all the time is it to the max stress level. I also do it to a comfort level too, depending on what's going on. But if we would have a sort of a high day, they'd go into there, rest it out. As soon as they're starting to feel like they want to get out, right, time goes on for 5 minutes and we're just going to work on some abs. Now, a lot of people are going to probably be like, oh, that's a bit dangerous. And, I'm there, you can grab them out. And like, of course, if they really feel like they're going to fucking pass out, get out of the sauna. But some of my guys, they love that.
How high are your ceilings in there?
Well, I mean, if I stand up, I can't have my arm straight in there, but I can have my arm bent. But I've got also different levels. So I've got from the floor, then I've got the first seat, and then I've got the second seat. And then from that second seat, the top seat, if you sit up, your head's pretty close to the ceiling. Like say, for example, Kevin wouldn't be able to sit up straight on the top.
So in your sauna, the second seat is 200 degrees. Where do you guys, or excuse me, is 100 degrees. Where do you guys sit for the sauna? Do you sit in the second seat when you guys are like chilling out?
Yeah, always. You go to the top.
Yeah. But when you're working out, you're on the bottom.
Yeah. Well, no, not always. Also on the top. Because, I mean, if you're lying there and you're doing some med ball work, you can be there on...
the difference between levels, just so everyone's aware, top level, even though it may be 100 degrees, in my sauna, I can get it up to 90 degrees Celsius, which is 194 degrees on top. However, when you go to the bottom, it comes down to be 105 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, hold on, let me do the conversion, which is 40 degrees Celsius. So that's the difference between, and that's underneath the shelf. So I have two seats. There's one seat which is like, I don't know, 24 inches off the ground. And there's another one that's about 30 inches off the ground. Mm-hmm. So at 24 inches at head height, if you're like doing push-ups, that's only 100 degrees. So when you're working out at that level, that's totally manageable. But then during your rest intervals, if you go up to the high spot, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, if guys ever need a break, they just drop down to the 100 degrees and that's like fucking nothing anyway.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I put all my beverages. Like I'll have an ice bucket there, a water jug, and that's where I'll keep my phone as well, and it stops my phone from overheating.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple funny times with my phone, putting my phone on the floor in the sauna, and it does all right until a certain extent. I mean, it's been my phone's destroyed, and I've got no glass on the back, so mine's like, just melting. I mean, there is definitely. Yeah, well, I don't know. Probably not a good thing to have in my pocket. So, but some of the speakers you can get in there now are quite good. Like I've got one of them, what they call big boom or boom, UE boom thing. Mm-hmm. That's what it is on the Bluetooth. That thing can last for a while, and you can even chuck that in the water too. So that's quite good. So I don't need to bring my phone in now. I could just have it connected up to a Bluetooth device and go in. So that's good. But mate, what's cool, crazy too, is have you ever played with the wind in the sauna?
Yeah. But see,
That's cool. So
my
if you
my
get an air
saunas,
bike, you get an assault bike in there with the amount of air that's moved. That's serious.
my sauna only fits 2 people. So I can't put if I do any wind in there, it cools down real quick. How big is yours? My sauna's what,
No.
40 inches by 40 inches. And then it's like, I don't know, 80 inches high.
Yeah, but no. But I'm not talking about wind from the outside. I'm talking about
Yeah,
when you start generating wind inside with a towel,
Yep.
something like this.
Well,
You get like,
when we
it's
used
like
to
a
go to
dragon breathing in your face.
when we used to go to the bathhouse, that's what it was. Remember? We'd
Did
sit
the
there
guys
with the
come in
towel.
there too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, of
Mhm.
course. Yeah.
But the room that I'm in, the second, if you were to put any steam on, and just to be clear, the steam actually, by pouring water on it, it doesn't increase the temperature.
No.
No, it just adds humidity, which makes
Yeah.
it feel hotter.
Yeah.
Right. So when you put the steam on, in mine, the second you put it on, which I usually don't do, if you put it on, it instantly burns your fucking flesh because that's where it goes up to. You're already at the highest point. How big is your sauna?
It's pretty big. I mean, if you needed to, say you used just the top step and you filled people up, you could sit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's big.
That's a good size
I mean,
sauna.
yeah, and the great thing is I'm able to take out the seats,
Mm-hmm.
the wooden seats, especially the lower level. So it means I can put in an air bike, I can put in a bicycle, I can put in you got like a workout area inside there. So
Yeah, I can take out the seats in mine, but it doesn't do anything. Does absolutely nothing because if I wanted to fit the assault bike in there, I couldn't. It's too damn small.
yeah.
I've already tried measuring it out. It kind of pissed me off. But maybe I get a new sauna. Maybe I just get a new one and get a little bigger if I wanted to do that stuff.
Wait till you move into a house, mate, and then
That's what I mean.
Get
That's
it
what I mean.
properly, get a proper
Mhm.
one because
Yep.
you know it's amazing what some of these saunas are able to do. I mean, this one that I've got here in terms of energy consumption, it's insane. It's like 4 francs an hour that it runs. I mean, you know, it's fuck all.
Yeah.
You know, then you consider really what it's doing. You know, it's giving you, you know, such a huge stimulus. So,
Well, I mean, I want to get a wood burning sauna.
yeah,
I would love for that. That'd be so good.
Mm.
Nice size wood. And where is your sauna's thermometer?
So I think my sauna might even, it's the thermometer's right on the wall. It's not all the way up to the top.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine, when it comes up, because you know when it's at 97 degrees on the thermometer and the thermometer is lower than your head, it's lower than where you are.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be a bit more because that's also what I was thinking, because there's such a differential.
Yeah.
If you was to lie on the floor compared to be sitting right at the top with your head on, it's a world of difference. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe mine gets a little bit warmer than 100 degrees. I've never used a third party thermometer in there. But I know it goes to 100, and then it's just a different level. Even from 95 to 100, it's serious, a serious difference. Or at least I find anyway.
Yeah. For me to go from 85 degrees to 90 degrees, it is a world of difference. Like I could barely, but again, there's some days where I can barely stay in it when it's 160 degrees. I can barely stay in the sauna, and then there's other days when it's like 194 degrees, and I can just chill there like it's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't. It
changes.
It depends.
It depends a lot on what you've been eating, how hydrated you are, what sort of stress level you've gone in there with, what's your like sort of external temperature that you've gone in with. You know, you do, 5 minutes in a cold tub up to your neck, and you go in. It's completely different than if you've just had an hour super heavy session. You're sweating your tits off already, and then you go in. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very different. Yeah. I've also found it's like I really don't like, if I've eaten, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to go in there.
In the hot or the cold?
In the hot.
Well, I mean, it's just like a workout. You don't want to eat and then work out right away.
Yeah. No, it's super uncomfortable. It's just not, it doesn't do good for me. No. But fasted out, training, use that for a warm up, because I think what's the definition of a warm up anyway, really? I mean, do that. I do a bunch of different rotator cuff stuff, like what you were saying, like different pulses stuff with the hips. You can do a bit of core work going on there, some upper body stuff. I could take bands in there, do that, then get a session in, push it if I'm feeling good. Because also sometimes after the sauna, I mean, it's like with everybody else, isn't it? Some days they come in, they feel, oh, like today's not the day. They warm up, they have a great day. You never know how the body's going to respond once you start moving. Train for the day, be satisfied with or content with what you've done, you know, and then go back in, sit it out until that's it, and then, you know, go in the cold, and then that's it. And then after that, I always like to do a bit of breathing work afterwards anyway, because if you've really pushed it, you really can just go into such a lovely sort of natural high, if you want to call it that, or natural meditative state.
Yeah.
Especially with some nice breathing work after, especially box breathing or sort of the more hyperventilative stuff. It's really cool.
So you'll always do cold after your workouts?
Yeah.
Really? For how long?
Most of the time, 5 minutes. Most of the time, 5 minutes. Sometimes 3 minutes. You know, as we were saying before, like time's quite difficult. So if things are like, if you get distracted, or you got to go to the toilet, go and take a shit for 5 minutes, that's already I'm already got to catch up for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So that session's already planned. So it could be, you know, only 3 minutes, but most of the time it's 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes in the cold. So yeah. Yeah. But I like to finish on that. And then, like I said, I always like to try and get some sort of breathing work in at the end, because I find it just feels really, really nice. Really bring your body down, or you sort of ramp it up, and then you do some breath hold stuff, and then I'll go and shower after that, and then walk out feeling like, you know, brand new.
So when you're done with the ice tub, do you just like dump it out?
No, it depends. If it's just me that's been going in there, I'll leave it for a week until it's a bit oily. It's like oily and fucking minging.
Fucking gross.
Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, I fill it up with, there's 500 liters of water. So I don't want to just you know, I have the sprinkler on in the garden a lot anyway, so I don't want to be a bit of a ponce with it. I mean, I don't care if the water's that dirty. When it, you know, I don't want it to get to the point where I'm going to end up getting something from it, you know, which you could, you know, especially if you're going out. I mean, I'm walking out there like a zombie. I'm like cooked to death. You know, I probably look like some sort of overgrown lobster walking out into the garden, you know, in my underwear, like dying, just pull myself in. And there's also, you know, I keep it sort of covered a lot of the time, but there's still also leaves.
Dude, put some salt in it.
And,
At least put some fucking salt in it. Do something, try to disinfect it a little bit, no?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could do. I mean, maybe I'll do it after. I probably won't.
You won't.
So, but if there's other people that are coming, I always, I've got like a hose attached to the external, and then that will feed somewhere in the garden. So I should look, maybe them plants are probably going to be mutated after all the fucking shit that's been poured on them. It's got a hole in the garden.
Well, hopefully that's not the plants that you're eating, because then you're eating.
Yeah, no, these ones. Yeah, no. This is the other side. So, and then I'll like sort of wash it all out and that. And if there's been a lot of people that have been sharing the same water, then I'll get rid of it pretty much straight away.
Oh.
So, yeah. If it's just me, I'll do it until it's manky. I remember my girl was like,
I know you will.
She was like, hey, shouldn't you like start cleaning that water out? And I was like, I've been thinking about it for like the last week.
Oh God, you're so fucking gross.
Yeah.
But for a guy that lived on the back of a motorcycle and barely showered, this is fucking nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't use a shower. I was jumping in water, rivers, but yeah, I didn't wash myself for quite a while sometimes. But I mean, fuck it, dude, you get over it, don't you? I mean, you know.
Oh man, let's finish off. Let's finish off with one story from you. You give me a story from. Tell the story about how you almost fell off the fucking cliff, maybe, or maybe when you got caught in the desert.
That's a long one. The one in the desert. The one where I've nearly fell off a cliff. This was, I think I was only a couple weeks in. It was when I was still with my mates, and we were on a dirt track close to Futuluefu in Chile, where there's beautiful white water rapids, and the roads there are cool because it's like dust with very fine sprinkling of rock, and it's all like very beautiful cliffs, but a lot of the time the cliff sort of, you know, shits itself and will drop onto the road, and people are not really paying attention to the roads down there, so in the middle of nowhere. And anyway, I was standing up. We were sort of kind of, you know, racing with my mates a little bit, and then as I'm pulling into a curve, I realised that, you know, there'd been a lot of the cliff had sort of cracked and dropped a lot of big rocks right into the middle of the curve. And I mean, there's no barriers there, there's no nothing, you know. And I knew that there was no way I could sort of correct this because I'm standing up, you know, the arse isn't drifting out, but I'm turning, like I can't sort of correct myself, otherwise I'm going to go straight off. So I just jumped off and sort of landed. And well, I didn't think about it. It just happened, to be completely honest. And then sort of dived and skidded along the road. And I remember turning really quick because I didn't want to lose my bike. I mean, this is like 4 weeks in, you know, and the bike just come to a stop. And then I remember, like, I jumped up straight away, even before my mates were there. And I was like, oh my God, I'm fine. And then I looked on my jacket. And I mean, if you ride in a motorbike, the clothes that keep you alive, 100%. You know, the devastating injuries you see are from people that don't wear a jacket and they've just got a T-shirt on or something. Man, I had a scratch, a little cut on my jacket, like that big. And I mean, I jumped off somewhere. I mean, I was doing around sort of 60 Ks before that turn. So slowed down a little bit. I don't know, maybe 45, 50 kilometer per hour. Jumped off, skidded along, and yeah, I got out. And then I remember my mates come and they saw the bike there and they're like, oh my God, are you all right? And luckily that also meant that then they didn't go into the curve not knowing about the rocks. You know what I mean? So, because that could have, you know, that would be devastating, especially if you know something was there and you didn't sort of warn your mates beforehand. And then, yeah, picked up the bike and my mate was like, Brooke, sit down for a second. I'm like, no, let's keep going. I remember I pulled away, hadn't even got already into like third gear, and my legs and my upper body just started going, shaking all over the place because the shock come out. I felt so sick. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to fucking fall off this thing right now. I had to stop and sit down and collect myself a little bit.
Yo, let's go. Let's move. No, dude, and then, chill out. No, I'm fine. Holy fuck, I'm not fine.
Yeah, and they still stayed there, and I pulled off, and then I think they were just standing there watching, and then I just come to a stop, got off and sat down on the floor, and then they come over and like, drink some water. Just calm down a minute.
Sitting there like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. But yeah, man, let's finish there. It's been a good one.
All right, cuz.
All right.